From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode,
a new initiative seeks to improve civic education and engagement. CPA Courtney Kincaid on using AI in business finances. And what is conscious capitalism and why are more businesses engaging in it?
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
Welcome again to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. And this week in business, Indiana is ranked near the bottom of all states when it comes to civics education and engagement. The Indiana Business Alliance for Civic Education recently launched through a partnership between the Indiana Bar Foundation and a group called Business for America, or BFA. We spoke to the Indiana State Director for BFA, Nathan Gotch.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
The Indiana Business Alliance exists underneath the Indiana Civics Coalition umbrella, and it's a group of businesses that wants to improve civic engagement and civic education across the state of Indiana. Today, we officially launched the Indiana Business Alliance for Civics. We did it with our partner, the Indiana Chamber of Commerce. We also had representatives from Eli Lilly and Company and a local medical startup, Navigate Maternity. We really wanted people to understand the Alliance is for large corporations, but also small businesses and entrepreneurs. Those are the people who want to improve civic engagement across the state, and we are here to give them the tools to do that. You know, when people ask us why form the Indiana Business Alliance for Civics now, I just say look around. We all understand not just the current political climate, but the way that people can't even talk civilly anymore and have discussions. That is, unfortunately, a symptom of, I think, many, many years of a lack of focus on this issue. And the good thing about that is when things start to get pretty bad, that's when you start to see stakeholders from across the political spectrum say, you know what, we need to come together and really work for a positive solution for this. What we're seeing businesses do now is they're starting to talk about politics, about civics from a nonpartisan perspective, encouraging their employees to register to vote, making sure that they're aware of how our government works. If you think about it, we all had a semester probably in high school of government class, civics, that kind of thing. But when you're 17 or 18 years old, are you really that focused on how your government works? I know when I was 17, I was focused on other things. And oftentimes the instructors of those classes were moonlighting really as a social studies teacher, but more focused on being the high school football coach. And so what we want to make sure people understand is if you don't know about these things, that's okay. A lot of us still have, things to learn about it, even those of us who work in the civic space. And we really hope that we can get rid of the stigma attached to not knowing about these things and provide people resources and easy ways to learn how our government works so that they can be more involved, not just politically, but really so that they can understand how they can become advocates for themselves and their family and their communities. The first thing that I would tell a new business owner is join the Indiana Business Alliance for Civics. We provide all the resources that you need. You don't have time when you're starting a business or even running a business that's been up and going for a while to spend a lot of your day focused on these issues. And so we exist to provide those resources. So there's a simple one-stop shop where you can get information about making sure your employees are registered to vote. If they need more civic education, different opportunities for them to do that. It might look like a podcast or maybe watching some YouTube videos or reading some materials. Every person learns differently. And what's great about the Business Alliance for Civics is we really take an entrepreneurial approach to solving these problems. We know that you can't solve these by committee, and so we provide options and opportunities. So I would say, engage with us. We will give you the tools that you need, and then it becomes something that you can take care of instead of worrying and fretting, especially, around election time. You go, oh, I wish I was more involved or engaged. Let us help you with that. One of the most important things you can do as a business owner is establish a voter culture at your place of business and making sure that people are registered to vote, making sure they understand there's opportunities to learn about civics. That makes a big, big difference. Joining the Alliance connects you with other businesses across the state who also care about this. And we have a lot of knowledge, but it's spread out amongst a lot of people. And so one of the important things that the Business Alliance does is really facilitate those relationships so that people who want a mentor, they can reach out to us and we connect them with people who've been there before. We already have some projects that are in the works that we can't talk about quite yet. That's the thing that businesses say, hey, we're working on something, some really exciting things. Internally, we develop in a similar way. And so we have some things that we're really excited about with some of our key partners. These projects and the things that we're talking about are going to make a real impact in the state of Indiana. We're here because we want to make a difference, but we can't do that without the help and support of the businesses across the state to join the Alliance. What gets me excited about doing this work is talking to business owners and hearing them have hope that we can move past all the partisanship, all the contentiousness that people associate with politics. The truth is, when you sit down with people and talk about the core issues, the lack of knowledge, the lack of civic engagement, we're all on the same team, and we really have been able to provide a framework for people to start having those conversations. That's what's so exciting to me, and that's why I think we can really make an impact here in Indiana.
Time for accounting and bookkeeping with longtime contributor Courtney Kincaid, president and CEO of the Indiana CPA Society. Today she tackles the topic of using artificial intelligence, AI, to balance your books.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
We are hearing a lot from the public about AI and generative AI and how it is changing the way that we work. And at the CPA Society, we're talking a lot about how this is going to change the CPA profession. There have been numerous articles of, will this make CPAs irrelevant or enter any profession into that, right? And the truth is it will potentially provide small business owners and entrepreneurs with tools that maybe CPAs have traditionally provided. But also, it goes back to a common misperception about CPAs and the accounting profession. A lot of people think being a CPA is just about math. It's debits and credits and that's it. But the real fact is, we say being a CPA is little to do with math. I mean, there are numbers involved, but being a CPA really is about learning the language of business. And when you think about language being, a system of communication among communities, it's a system of communication in the finance world. And the thing about artificial intelligence, and specifically tools like ChatGPT and generative AI, is they're really flourishing in that communication space. And so we think of ChatGPT as a real opportunity for the profession. As small business owners are getting all their data together, they're especially prone to having, really separate systems and having to gather data that might not be connected. And this is a quicker and easier way for both the client of small business and the professional to kind of gather that data. And what it really allows them to do is to not use the time putting all of the data together and creating financial statements or creating those balance sheets. What it does is it helps do that more rapidly and allows the CPA to provide services to the client that draw insights from those documents. When people think about CPAs just from the compliance perspective, you could make some analogies that this might, make it so you don't need a CPA. But the truth is the profession has seen this coming. We're quick adopters of technology. It facilitates a lot of what CPAs do. And so preparing for that in the last decade has been essential. And we're no longer focusing on compliance work. We're focusing on drawing insights from what that tells us. Not looking back, but looking forward. So as CPAs use this, it's really great for small businesses as they can do, better forecasting. The data is accurate. They can look at anomalies and start to realize trends and patterns that might inform the business decisions for small businesses moving forward. There are some challenges to generative AI right now, and the profession profession is really concerned about a few of these. We could talk this whole time about what the challenges are and the ethics of it. I'll leave that to another conversation, but there are still some real security challenges when you talk about generative AI, and obviously your CPA is very keen and aware of security for your business. And so they're trying to find some proprietary ways that they can onboard this technology depending on the size of their firm. They're making billions of dollars investments in creating safe ways so that they can use these tools to provide better insights. One of the critiques that we often hear about generative AI is, it spits out this information, and how do you know if it's accurate or not accurate? Because that's one of the powerful things about it, right? It can take a ton of data and synthesize it down into a small output. And that really goes back to the heart of why a CPA is important, because you have to understand that language of business to give it the correct input, but then to also be able to think critically about what the output is to make it useful for your business.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Time to talk about actually running your business day to day. Conscious Capitalism is a nonprofit movement that combines education and inspiration to promote responsible business practices with civic involvement. Those who embrace the idea say social impact is a critical aspect of business today, and companies are aligning their strategies and resources in more conscious ways. Indianapolis chapter of Conscious Capitalism is holding its second Conscious Learning cohort, spotlighting conscious companies and business leaders who are doing well by doing good. Good for business, good for stakeholders, good for society. Leslie Pagel is the co-president of Conscious Capitalism, Indianapolis. She explains more.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
Conscious Capitalism Indianapolis is a local chapter that is here to provide resources, learning to business leaders who are really looking to at the role of business beyond just generating profit. So we are here to support business leaders who see the responsibility of business as one that includes generating profit, but it must coexist with serving a higher purpose for humanity. Capitalism has developed a little bit of a bad reputation. And it's because there have been some companies that have led their business in a way that is not conscious, in a way that is more from a center of greed than a center of giving and serving. And so conscious capitalism is so important today because we need to rebuild the values of the principles of capitalism into corporate America so that corporations are out there generating profit to exist, but also serving a greater good for humanity. We see all the time how doing good business, doing conscious business generates a greater good, not just for the organization itself, but also for the community. You know, our younger employees these days, they are wanting to go into a company where they can work and serve a higher purpose. So they are making selections about where they work based on what corporations are doing for their customers, for their employees, and for the community. There are 4 tenets of conscious capitalism, and I would tell them to start with those. The tenets are to serve a higher purpose. Why does your company exist? What is the higher purpose for what you're bringing into the community, into the world? Conscious culture. How are you going to be really intentional with the environment that you create, not just for your employees, but for your customers? Conscious leadership. How are you going to lead your organization in a way that is conscious? And that's really looking for win-win-win scenarios, where when you're faced with a decision, you don't just make the decision on what's easiest, but you look for opportunities to create a win for all of the individuals involved. And then the fourth is about stakeholder orientation, and that really is thinking about the audiences that your business is going to serve. And historically, we've looked at shareholders as the main audience that a business is served. And with conscious capitalism, it's about looking more holistically at serving your customers, your employees, your partners, your vendors, your community, and your shareholders. I work for a company here in Indianapolis called Authentics. I am the chief evangelist there, and we're a conversational AI company. I would tell you our founder, Amy Brown, started the company by focusing on purpose, by being really intentional with the culture. She leads every day consciously, which, by the way, it role models the behavior for her leadership team. And, our stakeholders that we serve are all the ones I mentioned. I wouldn't be where I'm at in my day job if it weren't a conscious organization. It's not easy to be conscious, but it is something that every day when we wake up and we show up with our best intention of doing good in the world, it translates into the outcomes that we're looking for. Well, conscious capitalism has several ways that people can get involved. One of which is we're getting ready to launch our second annual Conscious Learning Cohort. The Conscious Learning Cohort is an opportunity where business leaders come together over a 9-month course and learn, practice, and implement conscious business practices for their companies. So that's one opportunity where it's really about instilling the principles and practicing them in business. We also frequently have events where we bring together business leaders, have a business leader share their story of how they are implementing conscious capitalism within their business. We're here at the beautiful Open Lane facility, had an event here a couple years ago where they talked about how they live out and walk the talk of conscious capitalism as well. I see this vision of what is possible for corporate America, and it's a vision that honors humanity. It's a vision where love can live in business. It's a vision in which there are win-win-win outcomes to hard decisions that we make, and that makes me excited. It's just being a part of helping to share that vision with others and working alongside Indianapolis business leaders to make that vision a reality.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, BEOshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.